Willie woke to the distinct feeling that something was wrong. Not the choking sounds from the night before, not the low, mechanical hum of the building, not the faint whisper of air vents. Something closer, sharper. Someone knocking, hard. "Miss Turner." Edward's voice came through the door, clipped and cool. "It is 6:22. 6:22. Her alarm had been set for 5:45. Her eyes flew to her phone on the nightstand. The alarm sat there serenely, toggled off. She stared at it in disbelief for half a second before memory crashed over her. The hidden stairwell, the red-lit server room. Alexander doubled over and tried not to cough, his fingers on her pendant, the way he had said, "You should not be here." "Miss Turner." Edward's knock sharpened. "Now." I'm awake," she called, voice cracking. 2 minutes, Mr. Hargrove." "You are already 19 minutes late," he said. "Do not add lying to your list of early offences." She winced. "Yes, sir." She scrambled out of bed, yanked on her uniform, and dragged her fingers through her hair, just enough to tame the worst of the tangles. Her hand shook as she tied her apron, fumbling the knot twice before getting it secure. The pendant thumped against her sternum, heavier than usual. "This is your fault," she muttered at it, grabbing her sneakers. "You and your drama." She cracked the door open. Edward stood in the hallway like a judgmental statue, tablet in hand. His silver hair was immaculate, his suit crease perfect, his expression unreadable in a way that felt unfair at this hour. "Good morning, Mr. Hargrove," she said, trying for polite and landing somewhere near strangled. His gaze flicked over her uniform, then to her face. "You are late," he said. "Yes," she admitted, shoulders hunching slightly. "My alarm—" "I am uninterested in your alarm," he cut in. "We will assume it has been executed for treason. Your wake-up time is not negotiable. When you are late, the entire schedule shifts. Rosa had to start your tasks." Guilt stabbed at her. "I'm sorry. It won't happen again." "No," he said. "It will not." He paused, studying her a beat too long. "You look exhausted." Panic fluttered in her chest. Did he somehow know? Had Alexander told him? "I'm fine," she said quickly. "Just first week adjustment. New bed, new place." "You have shadows under your eyes," he said. "If you are unwell, you should report it. Sick staff make mistakes. Mistakes here are costly." "I'm not sick," she said, perhaps too quickly. I wake up at every noise. It'll pass." His gaze lingered another second, weighing her words. Then he nodded once. "Very well. Kitchen. Now. Rosa will finish the living room for today. You will take her laundry duty and the guest suite rotation to compensate. Extra chores. Fair. Annoying, but fair." "Yes, Mr. Hargrove," she said. "Thank you for giving me the chance to fix it." "I am not thanking you for being late, Miss Turner," he said dryly. "Nor am I giving you a chance. I am maintaining order. Don't mistake the two." He turned and walked away, clearly expecting her to follow. In the kitchen, Rosa was already halfway through a tray of gleaming glasses, polishing each one with quick, practiced movements. She looked up as Lily rushed in. "Ah, Sleeping Beauty awakes," she said, but there was more concern than teasing in her voice. "You okay?" "Yeah," Lily lied. "Overslept. Edward gave me laundry penance." "Could be worse," Rosa said. "Could have been told to explain yourself directly to him before coffee." Lily's heart lurched. "Has he asked about me?" "Mr. Voss?" Rosa shook her head. starting on another glass. Not that I've heard, not this morning anyway. He has a call at 8 with Tokyo. Breakfast at 8:30. We'll take the tray up together again. You remember the routine? Eyes down, don't look around, don't breathe too loudly, Lily recited. Try not to insult his net worth. That coaxed a small laugh out of Rosa. You'll be fine, she said. Just follow my lead. Lily nodded, but the knot in her stomach pulled tighter. The last time she'd seen him, he'd been half choking on the server room floor and accusing her pendant of being more than it was. Now she had to pretend nothing had happened and that she hadn't seen him vulnerable, hadn't felt his grip on her wrist, hadn't caught the echo of something like fear in his eyes when he recognized the silver crescent. She finished wiping down the counters, loaded a tray with breakfast items under Rosa's instruction, and tried very hard not to think about the hidden staircase. At 8:25, they wheeled the tray into the private corridor again. The thick carpet muffled their steps. The same carved door loomed at the end, fingerprint pattern glinting faintly. Rosa pressed the chime. Lily's pulse picked up, embarrassingly eager to match it. The light turned green. Rosa knocked twice and opened the door. Alexander sat at the small table by the window, laptop closed this time. He wore a crisp white shirt and dark trousers, no tie, the top button undone. His hair was still damp, as if he'd only recently stepped out of the shower. He looked composed, the faint redness around his eyes and throat from last night's episode almost entirely gone. Only a slight hoarseness in his "come in" betrayed anything. If you hadn't seen him gasping for breath in red light, you'd never know anything had happened. Good morning, Mr. Voss, Rosa said, wheeling the tray closer. Breakfast. Thank you, he said. His gaze slid over the tray, then to Lily. It lingered on her face for half a second longer than it should have. A quiet acknowledgement that no one else in the room could decode. Her skin prickled under it. Miss Turner, he said, you're punctual this morning. Lily's stomach dropped. He knew she'd been late. Of course he did. Maybe there were hidden cameras everywhere, or some scary, centralized staff schedule in his head. Yes, Mr. Voss, she said, trying to keep her voice even. It won't happen again. Good, he said mildly. I dislike having to make my own coffee. Rosa glanced between them, something like curiosity igniting in her eyes, but she said nothing as she set the tray down. Lily focused on her hands, steady, steady, don't spill, and poured the coffee into his cup. The liquid streamed dark and smooth, filling the porcelain without a drop out of place. She set the carafe down, folded her hands, and stepped back beside Rosa. You may go, Alexander said. Leave the tray. Yes, sir, Rosa said. As they turned away, Lily felt his gaze brush the back of her neck. She resisted the urge to reach up and clamp her hand over the pendant. In the corridor, Rosa hissed under her breath. What was that? What was what? Lily asked, playing dumb. That look, Rosa said, like he was checking to see if you were still breathing. Lily swallowed. Maybe he's just particular about his staff being on time? He's particular about a lot of things, Rosa said. Most of them don't involve direct eye contact. Her tone softened. Did something happen yesterday? For a moment, Lily almost told her. The secret sat heavy on her tongue, wanting out. Someone choked, I panicked, there's a hidden server room. He looked at my necklace like it was a bomb. No, she said instead, the lie stretching thin and tight inside her. Just nerves, first week and all that. Rosa studied her for a beat, then let it go. All right, she said. Laundry and guest suites for you. I'll handle the living room rotation you missed. Come find me if Edward's list kills you. Laundry, at least, didn't require keeping her face perfectly neutral. It did require lifting, folding, sorting, and learning the difference between charcoal and graphite in the world of expensive shirts. This one is graphite, Lily muttered to herself, holding up a nearly identical shirt to the last one she'd ironed. Of course, my mistake. The guest suites were mostly empty, but they had to be maintained, like someone might walk in at any moment. Fresh linens, dust-free surfaces, bathroom fixtures gleaming as if they'd never been used. As she moved through the rooms, Lily found herself relaxing, just a little. Chores were straightforward. Physics and elbow grease. No complicated corporate politics, no loaded looks over breakfast. By mid-afternoon, though, her arms ached and her feet throbbed again. She finished fluffing the last pillow in the last guest room and stepped into the hallway, rubbing the back of her neck. You missed a corner. The deep voice slid in from behind her. She spun so fast her back hit the doorframe. Alexander leaned casually against the opposite wall, sleeves rolled to his elbows, tablet in one hand. There was no way he should have been able to walk that quietly in Italian leather shoes, but somehow he had. He gestured with his tablet toward the skirting board just inside the room. Dust, he said, by the chair. She looked. In the bright afternoon light, a faint line of dust betrayed itself near the leg of an armchair she'd pulled out and pushed back. Her cheeks warmed. I'm sorry, Mr. Voss, she said. I'll fix it. I already called the building inspector, he said blandly. We'll have to condemn the floor. Her stomach lurched. He watched her for 2 long seconds before one corner of his mouth tilted. That was a joke, Miss Turner. She squinted at him. You make jokes? On rare occasions, he said. Usually when my staff look like they're about to pass out from fear. She exhaled, somewhere between a laugh and a groan. A little warning would be nice, she muttered, bending to swipe the dust with her cloth. You're very jumpy today, he observed. Late this morning, missing corners, flinching at shadows. Am I paying you enough? It's been 2 days, she said, straightening up. I don't think that's long enough to evaluate my market value, sir. You'd be surprised, he said. His gaze slid over her face, lingering on the faint shadows under her eyes that Edward had mentioned. You didn't sleep again. I slept, she said. Some. Nightmares? He asked. The question was too sharp, too direct. No, she hesitated. Just, the building makes strange noises. It doesn't, he said. The building is designed not to make strange noises. If you're hearing things, they are either in your head or in the walls. She stared at him. That is not comforting. He seemed to consider that. You'll adjust, he said finally. He shifted, about to move past her, then paused. Rosa tells me you're picking up your routines quickly. I'm trying, she said. I don't want to be adequate forever. Something flickered in his expression. Edward needs to recalibrate his compliments, he said. Adequate translates to not incompetent and therefore not my problem. It's a high bar in his internal system. I'll embroider that on a pillow, she said. Adequate, not incompetent and therefore not my problem. His mouth twitched. Don't, he said. I'd have to fire you for aesthetic crimes. They stood there for a moment, the air between them strangely lighter than it had been since she arrived. Then his gaze dropped, inevitably, to her collarbone, as if he couldn't help checking that the pendant was hidden. Her fingers twitched, the mood shifted. About last night, he said quietly. Her spine straightened. Yes, Mr. Voss? We're going to pretend it didn't happen, he said. Officially. If anyone asks why you look like you've missed sleep, you will blame the new bed or the workload. You will not mention hidden staircases, server rooms, or my breathing. I wasn't planning to, she said. Good. His tone edged harder. And you will not go looking for that door again. Ever. I wasn't... She stopped. His eyebrows lifted. She sighed. I thought about it, she admitted. But I'm not stupid, Mr. Voss. I know a warning when I hear one. Do you? He asked. You didn't seem to last night. You were choking, she said, frustration bubbling up. If I had gone to get Edward, by the time I made it back, you might have been unconscious on the floor, or worse. I made a call. I'd make the same one again, even if you yell at me for it. His jaw tightened. It took him a moment to answer. Don't make it sound noble, he said, softer than she expected. You walked into a risk you didn't understand. You were the risk, she said, and you're my boss, and a human being. Last I checked, those mattered. He watched her like he was trying to decide if arguing with her would be worth the energy. Most people in your position would have picked self-preservation over heroism, he said. I told you, I tried that for 10 seconds, she said. It didn't stick. Silence stretched between them again. Then he sighed, a small release of air that sounded almost like surrender. Very well, he said. Since you're clearly incapable of ignoring emergencies, we will adjust the rules. That startled her. Adjust them? Only slightly. He shifted his tablet to his other hand. If something happens again, if you hear something, if you see something that you reasonably believe is an emergency involving me, you do not notify Edward first. You notify me. You, she repeated, directly. If I'm capable of answering, I will decide what happens next, he said. If I am not, his mouth pressed into a hard line. In that unlikely event, you may break protocol. But your first instinct will be to reach me, not to go exploring on your own like a poorly written thriller heroine. A heat crawled up her neck. I didn't... Yes, you did, he said. You heard a noise in the walls and followed it because you couldn't leave it alone. That is... He searched for the word. Troubling. Useful. And extremely inconvenient. Is that your way of saying thank you? She asked. No, he said. That is my way of saying I am updating your responsibilities. She blinked. My... what? You're still a maid, he said. You still clean and polish and make sure the corners are not gathering dust colonies. But you will also answer my calls first, at certain hours, before Edward's. You will keep your comm on you at night. If I need something, I'll contact you. The thought of his voice in her ear at 1 a.m. again made her stomach flip in an alarming way. Why me? Slipped out before she could stop it. Because you answer, he said. Because you came when you heard something you shouldn't have heard. Because you haven't told anyone about it, and because... He hesitated for half a second, and it was like watching a crack appear in glass. Because you're not lying to me. She swallowed. You don't know that. I do, he said. I'm very good at recognizing lies. His gaze dropped to the invisible pendant. You just don't know what you're not telling me yet. The words sent a chill through her. He stepped past her then, the conversation apparently dismissed. There will be a document, he added casually, as if talking about an extra cleaning supply. An addendum to your contract. No functional change to your job description, just a clarification of expectations. Edward will give it to you to sign. An addendum, she repeated weakly. Of course. Don't sound so alarmed, Miss Turner, he said. Most people would be thrilled to be upgraded to marginally more trusted than the others. Is there a pay raise? The question jumped out, a mix of nerves and practicality. If she was going to be on call for late-night secret emergencies, it was only fair. He stopped and looked back at her again. Do you want one? I'd like to be able to send more than adequate money home, she said. And if I'm going to be your emergency backup breathing coach, I feel like that's worth at least an extra something. For a brief, surreal second, she thought he might actually laugh. The sound that escaped him was more like a huff, but it was close. I'll adjust your compensation, he said, slightly. Thank you, Mr. Voss, she said. That was my clumsy way of saying I appreciate the marginal trust. Don't thank me yet, he said. Higher pay comes with higher expectations. You fail me, and the fall is steeper. Understood, she said. He nodded once and walked away, leaving her in the hallway with her duster and a heart pounding too fast for a conversation that had mostly been about dust and breathing. That evening, the penthouse shifted again. Around 9, while Lily was restocking supplies in the staff area, the elevator chimed and a different kind of energy swept through the place. Rosa poked her head into the corridor. Visitor, she said under her breath. Important one. Guest? Lily asked, confused. I thought there were no guests. No social guests, Rosa corrected. Business is an exception, sometimes, when he doesn't want to be seen having that business at the office. A tall woman stepped off the elevator, heels clicking softly on the polished floor. She wore a fitted dark green dress that hugged her figure in a way that said, expensive, even from a distance. Her hair was sleek, her posture relaxed with the easy confidence of someone used to moving through important rooms. Ms. Hale, Edward greeted her near the entrance. Good evening. Edward. Her voice was smooth with a hint of amusement. You look tired. Occupational hazard, he said. He's in the study. He said to send you in. And who is this? Her gaze slid to Lily, taking in the gray uniform and cheap sneakers with a single sweeping look. Lily straightened automatically, smoothing her apron. New maid, Edward said. Lily Turner. Miss Turner, the woman said. I'm Olivia Hale, Chief Operating Officer, or, in less polite terms, the one who puts out the fires your employer likes to set. Lily managed a polite nod. Nice to meet you, Miss Hale. Olivia's eyes lingered on her face, then on the faint line where the pendant's chain disappeared under the uniform. Something like curiosity sparked there, but she let it go. You choose interesting staff these days, Edward, she said. I don't choose them, he replied. I only try to prevent them from breaking things. We'll see how long this one lasts, Olivia murmured, already turning down the hallway toward the study. The comment stung more than Lily wanted to admit. She watched as Olivia walked away with the kind of smooth assurance Lily doubted she'd ever feel in a place like this. The study door closed behind her. Lily tried to focus on her restocking, but voices leaked faintly from under the door as she passed the hallway later, arms full of folded towels. The words weren't clear, just the rise and fall of tone. Olivia's cool and sharp, Alexander's lower and controlled. She told herself to keep walking. She managed 3 steps. Turner. The name sliced through the muffled sound like a knife. Lily froze. She hadn't imagined it. She edged a fraction closer, not close enough to be obvious if the door opened, but close enough that the murmur of voices resolved into actual words. You can't ignore this, Olivia was saying. The name is the same. The pendant is the same. At some point, you have to stop pretending you live in a vacuum. Coincidence, Alexander said. His voice was calmer than last night, but there was a hard undertone she hadn't heard often. I don't make strategic decisions based on coincidences and jewelry. You used to, Olivia said. At least you did when the jewelry was around your mother's neck. A heavy silence answered that. This is not about my mother, he said. Everything is about your mother, Olivia replied. No softness in it. You built this entire company from the day she died like it was a monument to her, and to punish him. Him. The word hung there, humming with quiet venom. Lily's heart thudded. Turner, pendant, mother, him. Be careful, Olivia, Alexander said, his voice dropping to that dangerous calm that made even Lily's skin prickle through the door. You're wandering into territory that doesn't concern you. Well, if it affects the company, it concerns me, she said. If that girl is connected to him in any way, if she is a variable he introduced into your house, it is my business. Lily's breath hitched. The towel stack slipped in her arms. She caught it clumsily, one towel sliding to the floor with a soft thump that sounded like a gunshot in her panicked ears. Silence from inside. She stood there, frozen, praying they'd chalk it up to the building settling or some innocent staff noise. The door opened. Slowly. Alexander stood there, one hand on the handle. His gaze dropped to the towel on the floor, then to her face, then to her position, too close to the door, too obviously not just passing by. Behind him, Olivia sat in one of the leather chairs, legs crossed, watching with narrowed eyes. Miss Turner, he said, we seem to be having a recurring issue with you and doors that are not yours. Lily's mouth went dry. I dropped a towel, she said, hating how high and thin her voice sounded. I didn't realize I was this close to. Don't lie, he said softly. The towels in her arms suddenly weighed 100 pounds. She swallowed. I heard my name, she said, forcing the words out. I was walking by and I heard Turner and I stopped. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. He studied her face, reading the truth there as easily as he read stock reports. Slowly, he stepped into the hall, pulling the door almost closed behind him, so only a thin sliver of Olivia was visible. For a moment, he said nothing. The hallway seemed to shrink around them. Put the towels down, he said. She crouched and set the stack carefully on the floor, buying herself a second to breathe. When she straightened, he was closer. Not touching close, but within a step. She could see the faint roughness of his stubble, the pale line of the scar on his throat. There are several conversations in this house that will never include you, he said. This is one of them. When you hear your name in such a conversation, you will keep walking. That's hard, she said quietly. When my name is the only thing I recognize. His eyes softened the tiniest fraction. I'm aware, he said, but curiosity will get you in more trouble than honesty ever will. Is that why you hired me? She asked before she could stop herself. For honesty or because of this? She tapped her chest lightly, where the pendant lay hidden. His jaw flexed. You were hired because you passed the agency's vetting, and because you were available, he said. The necklace is an unfortunate complication. Unfortunate, she repeated. You don't have to wear it here, he added abruptly. The words landed like a slap. Her fingers closed around the pendant through the fabric on instinct. It's mine, she said. My father gave it to me. I've worn it since I was a kid. Your father also left, he said, and she flinched, the truth of it slicing clean. And yet you still wear the reminder. You don't know anything about my father, she said, heat prickling behind her eyes. No, he said, I don't. That's the problem. Silence stretched. Behind the door, Olivia shifted, clearly listening. Lily imagined her gaze dissecting this interaction like a data point. You said in there, Lily forced out, nodding toward the study, that you don't make decisions based on jewelry, so make them based on me. His brow furrowed. What exactly do you think I'm deciding? Whether I'm some ticking bomb someone planted here, she said, voice wobbling. Whether my last name and this necklace make me dangerous. I'm just a maid. I clean your floors and try not to spill your coffee. If you're going to keep me here, treat me like I'm me, not him. Whoever him is. The last words came out sharper than she meant. His eyes darkened, some emotion flaring that she couldn't name. Anger, pain, something older. He stepped closer, enough that she had to tilt her chin up to hold his gaze. It felt like standing at the edge of a cliff. You are not him, he said, each word deliberate. You will never be him, but you may be connected to him in ways neither of us understands yet. Until I know what that connection is, I would be an idiot not to be cautious. You think he sent me, she said, to spy on you? I think, he said, that my world is one in which someone like him would absolutely weaponize an unsuspecting girl if it suited his purposes. I also think you're not lying when you say you don't know what's going on. Her throat tightened. I'm not. I know, he said, which is why you're still here. His gaze flicked to the towels, then back to her. There will be more conversations about you that you will not be part of. That is non-negotiable. You have two choices, Miss Turner. You stay, do your job, follow my rules, and trust that if you were truly in danger here, I would not keep you. Or you leave now, break your contract, and go back to whatever life you had before, pendant and all. Decide. The word hung between them like a challenge. Lily thought of her mother's cough, of the unpaid bills, of the tiny kitchen where mold crept in, no matter how hard she scrubbed. She thought of the photo she'd never seen on his desk, the one he'd stared at in the quiet hours, of the way his fingers had hovered over another woman's necklace. She thought of the server room, of him struggling to breathe, of the crack in his armor when he looked at her pendant in that red light. I'll stay, she said. Her voice shook, but the decision didn't. I need this job. I also want to know why I make everyone around you so nervous. His eyes searched her face, as if looking for any sign of hesitation. If you stay, he said, there will be terms. There already are, she said. More, he said. You will sign the addendum. You will not discuss me or this house with anyone outside these walls. You will not go looking for answers you are not ready to have. What does not ready mean? She asked. It means, he said, that some truths, once known, cannot be unknown. They will change how you see me, how you see your father, perhaps even how you see yourself. Fear flickered in her chest, but also something electric. And you're trying to protect me from that? Don't ascribe nobility to me, Miss Turner, he said with a faint, humorless smile. I'm protecting my company. If protecting you is a side effect, so be it. You're very bad at accepting gratitude, she said. And you're very bad at staying out of trouble, he replied. We all have flaws. He took a small step back, restoring a more appropriate distance. Pick up your towels. Walk away from the door. Forget what you heard. You said yourself secrets don't just vanish, she said. They leak out in looks and words. Then learn to hold your face still, he said. Edward will bring you the paperwork in the morning. Think before you sign it. Are you hoping I'll change my mind? She asked. I'm hoping, he said slowly, to give you one last chance to walk away before this becomes more complicated than it already is. He turned and slipped back into the study, closing the door behind him. Lily stood there for a moment, staring at the smooth wood, her heart hammering. Then she bent, picked up the towels with shaking hands, and forced herself to walk back down the hallway as if nothing in her world had just shifted. That night, alone in her room, the pendant burned against her skin. She pulled it out, letting it rest in her palm, the etched patterns catching the dim light. "Who were you really, Dad?" she whispered. "And what did you drag me into?" Somewhere above her, in the glass and steel skeleton of the penthouse, Alexander stood in front of a safe, key in hand. Inside were documents he had sworn he would never read again. Contracts, old letters, a photograph with a date scribbled on the back in his mother's handwriting, and a file with a single name on the tab. Turner. He closed his eyes for a moment, hand hovering over it. Variables, he muttered. I should have burned this. Instead, he pulled the file out and opened it, because for all his rules and all his systems, for all his hatred of uncertainty, Alexander Voss understood one thing better than most. Once an equation changed, you couldn't go back to pretending it was the same. And with Lily Turner sleeping under his roof, wearing his mother's crescent around her neck, the equation of his life had just drastically, dangerously changed. Lily didn't sleep much. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the thin file folder with Turner on the tab. Even though she had never actually seen it, she imagined it anyway. Old paper, ugly facts. She imagined Alexander opening it with those steady hands, deciding what parts of her life he was going to turn into terms and conditions. When her alarm finally buzzed, she rolled out of bed with the heaviness of someone who'd been awake most of the night anyway. She washed, dressed, tied her hair back, and, almost as an afterthought, hesitated with the pendant in her fingers. He had said she didn't have to wear it here. He hadn't ordered her to take it off, but the suggestion had landed like an accusation. You don't have to wear your father's ghost. Lily stared at the crescent for a long moment, then clipped the chain around her neck and slid it under her uniform. If they wanted her, they got all of her, ghost jewelry included. When she opened her door, Edward was already waiting in the corridor, tablet tucked under his arm like an extra rib. Good, he said simply. On time today. I executed my alarm like you suggested, Lily said. Replaced it with a more obedient one. Edward's mouth twitched in something that might have been almost amusement. Let's hope your punctuality lasts longer than your jokes. Before kitchen, there's something we must handle. He handed her a slim folder. Her stomach dropped at the sight of her own name printed neatly on the front. The addendum? She asked. Yes, Edward said. Per Mr. Voss's instructions. You will read it before you sign it. I suggest you do so carefully. Is this where I agree to sell my soul and firstborn child? She tried. Your soul was covered in the original contract, he said dryly. This simply clarifies your accessibility. The staff sitting area was empty at this hour. He gestured to the small table. Lily sat, the folder suddenly heavy in her hands. Edward remained standing, a polite distance away, but she could feel his attention like a pressure. She opened the folder. The first page was all small text and legal phrasing, but the key points stood out in bold, merciless clarity. The employee agrees to be available for direct communication from employer between the hours of 2200 and 600, barring medical incapacity. The employee will respond immediately to all direct communication from employer during these hours, except in circumstances of proven impossibility. The employee acknowledges that failure to respond without reasonable justification will be considered a breach of contract. The employee will maintain absolute confidentiality regarding any private matters observed or disclosed during such communication, including but not limited to medical incidents, personal vulnerabilities, and business-sensitive information. Additional compensation: a modest but clear increase in monthly salary plus a one-time signing bonus labeled on-call stipend. She read the section twice, pulse thudding. It was strangely comforting to see last night turned into paragraphs instead of chaos. He had taken something terrifyingly intimate, watching him gasp for breath in that red-lit room, and filed it under medical incidents like it was just another line item. It made it easier to breathe, also somehow harder. Questions? Edward asked. Lily chewed the inside of her cheek. 2. 1. Is this normal? For household staff, he said. No. For Mr. Voss? That depends on your definition of the word. And 2, she continued. Why me? Edward's gaze held hers steadily. Because you were there when you were not supposed to be there, he said. Because you did not run away, and you did not speak of it afterward. Because he believes, perhaps against his better judgment, that your discretion can be codified into an agreement. That's flattering, she said, in a sinister way. There is nothing flattering about being noticed by a man like Alexander Voss, Edward said quietly. Useful, perhaps. Dangerous, certainly. Flattering, no. That pricked something inside her. You make it sound like he's a storm and I'm standing on a balcony. An apt metaphor, Edward said. And my job is to remind you that balconies collapse. She looked down at the neat black letters again. If I refuse? Then you remain standard staff, Edward said. He will likely distance himself. You will be reassigned to tasks that keep you far from his orbit. Your presence will become forgettable. She thought of going back to being invisible, of never hearing his voice through the comm again, of never having to worry about whether he was breathing properly. It sounded safe. It also sounded, irrationally, like staring at a closed door for the rest of her contract and wondering what had been on the other side. Lily took the pen tucked into the folder. Where do I sign? She asked. Edward watched her for a long second. You are sure? No, she admitted. But I'm deciding anyway, she signed. Her name looked smaller than usual on the line, swallowed by all the legal weight around it. Edward took the folder back, slid it under his arm. Very well, he said. You are now officially awake when he is. I was already awake when he was, she said. At least now I get paid for it. Edward didn't smile, exactly, but something in his posture loosened. Kitchen, he said. Rosa is waiting. Breakfast passed without drama. Alexander's voice came through the comb at 8:27 in a simple, tray. In his suite, he was already in a navy suit, tie knotted, hair dry and tamed. The hoarseness in his throat was almost gone. If Lily hadn't seen him the night before, she would have thought he'd slept 8 hours, like a normal human. Rosa did most of the talking, which was to say she said, "Good morning," and "Breakfast, sir," and he replied with, "Thank you." His eyes touched on Lily, just long enough to register that she was there and alive, then moved on. After, in the kitchen, Rosa leaned her hip against the counter and eyed Lily. "You signed something," she said. "How do you know?" Lily asked. "You have the look," Rosa said. Staff get that look when there's a new clause on their record and they're not sure if they sold their kidney or their dignity. I think it was my sleep, Lily said. Apparently, I'm now on call between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. You were on call anyway, Rosa said. Now you just have the paperwork and the hazard pay. You think it's a hazard? Lily asked. Rosa held her gaze for a moment, then gave a small, lopsided smile. Working close to someone like him always is, she said. But you knew that already, didn't you? I'm learning fast, Lily murmured. The day's routine tried its best to swallow her worries. There were sheets to change, floors to polish, a shipment of new glassware to unpack and check for chips. In the middle of counting wine glasses, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Personal line, not calm. She stepped into the staff bathroom and answered quietly. Mom? Her mother's voice sounded thinner than usual. Lily, I didn't want to bother you, but the doctor says I might need another scan. The cheap one wasn't enough. Fear knifed through Lily, familiar and sharp. Another scan? Why? What did he say? Something about wanting a clearer picture, her mother hedged. Don't worry, we can schedule it later, after your next paycheck. I can wait. The way she said, wait, made Lily's stomach twist. How much is it? Lily asked. Her mother tried to deflect. Lily pressed. Finally, a number came through the line that made her grip tighten on the phone. It was more than her entire month's salary before this job. Even with the raise, even with scraping, she'd be short. I'll figure it out, Lily said automatically. Don't delay it because of money. Lily, I mean it, Mom. I'll sort it. Just book the appointment as soon as they let you, please. Silence, then a small sigh of reluctant agreement. All right, but you have to sleep. You sound tired. So do you, Lily said. They traded a few more soft lies. We're fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Then hung up. Lily leaned her forehead briefly against the cool bathroom door. The tile smelled faintly of lemon cleaner. Numbers spun in her head again. Even with the new stipend, she'd barely make it. She could ask the agency for an advance. She could try to sell something, except everything she owned was either sentimental or worthless. She straightened, pushed the thoughts down, and went back to work. The building didn't care about her problems. The glass still needed polishing. Around 4 in the afternoon, as she was restocking toiletries in one of the guest bathrooms, her comm buzzed sharply against her hip. The screen flashed 0. Her throat tightened. She fumbled the device up. Yes, Mr. Voss, she said, thankful she'd remembered this time. Study, his voice said. Now. The line clicked off. She took one steadying breath, checked that her uniform was clean and her hair wasn't escaping everywhere, then headed for the study corridor. The door was half open when she reached it. She knocked softly on the frame. Come in, Alexander said. He was behind his desk, jacket off, shirt sleeves rolled, tie loosened. Papers were spread across the desk in uneven stacks. A laptop open to what looked like a dense spreadsheet. The city behind him was a grid of afternoon light and shadow. You called, sir, she said. I did. He gestured to a small envelope lying on the corner of the desk. Your addendum has been processed. That is your copy. It also contains something else. Lily stepped closer, careful to stop an appropriate distance away. She picked up the envelope. It was thicker than just paper. Her name was written on the front in Edward's precise hand. Inside, she found the carbon copy of the contract addendum and a bank transfer slip. The number at the bottom made her blink. This is more than you said, she blurted before she could stop herself. He leaned back in his chair, watching her. Is it? The stipend, she said, tapping the figure. It's double what was in the addendum. You read the addendum carefully, he said. Good. This is a mistake, she said. I mean, a nice mistake, but it's in advance, he said. On the raise and stipend. Consider it partially prepaid, amortized over the next several months. He said it with the cold efficiency of a man discussing tax structures. In advance, she repeated slowly. Why? Is there something wrong with the word? No, I just didn't ask for one. His gaze sharpened. Should you have? Heat crept up her neck. I might have mentioned to my mother that she shouldn't delay some medical things. The old scans weren't clear enough. They're expensive. She bit her tongue. She hadn't meant to say that much. His jaw moved just once. Is that so? It wasn't a question. She shrugged, trying to make it small. It's fine. I was going to ask the agency for a loan. And put yourself in debt to a third party when you have an employer with a significantly higher credit line? He asked. That would have been a poor decision. I didn't want to owe you, she said before her filter caught up. His eyes cooled another degree. You already owe me, he said. You owe me your time, your discretion, your service. That is the nature of employment. This is merely an adjustment of numbers inside that existing equation. You're very good at making generosity sound like math, she said. Kindness is just math with worse branding, he replied dryly. Take the advance, Miss Turner. Use it to pay for your mother's scan. If it makes you feel better, imagine I did it solely to protect my investment in an employee who is now on my medical secrets list. That does not make me feel better, she said mutinously, but her fingers tightened around the slip. Still, he said, you will accept it. Do I have a choice? Of course, he said. You can refuse and watch your mother wait for a scan she needs. Or you can take it and complain on principle. I assumed you were pragmatic enough to choose the latter. She glared at him, but her chest ached with something suspiciously like relief. Thank you, she said quietly. Even if I don't like the way you phrase it. I'll try to find a more palatable euphemism for, I don't want your mother to die of something treatable because of a line item, he said. Until then, we'll call it what it is. The bluntness of it stole her breath. He said it like he was talking about quarterly losses, but the effect landed far closer to her heart. You don't even know her, Lily said, voice smaller. I don't need to know her, he said. I know you. Or at least, I know that if something happened to her, you'd be useless here. Distracted, grieving, resentful. I prefer my staff functional. So this is selfish, she said. Entirely, he agreed. You'll find most of my altruism is. She laughed in spite of herself, a short, startled sound. His mouth softened. There is another reason I called you, he said. The advance was simply a convenient timing. There's more? She asked, wary. Walk with me, he said, standing. He picked up his jacket, slipped it on, and buttoned it in brisk motions. Where are we going? The office, he said. We have a meeting downtown. You're coming. She blinked. I thought staff weren't supposed to leave the penthouse without permission, and that for me, permission was mostly theoretical. You're leaving with me, he said, under my authority. It's a controlled variable. You will accompany me as support staff. Support staff, she repeated. For what? I need certain documents, my schedule updated, and someone competent to handle logistics while Edward stays here and manages a different problem, he said. Rosa can spare you for a few hours. You will do as you do here, Stay in the background, observe, anticipate practical needs, and try not to trip over anything. I've never been in your office, she said. It's just a building, he replied, with better suits. This feels above my pay grade, she said, glancing at the transfer slip in her hand. Temporarily adjusted, he said. Besides, if you're going to be involved in my emergencies, you should see the context they arise from. There it was again, that word, involved. She swallowed. What do I wear? Your uniform, he said without hesitation. You are staff, and I have no interest in confusing anyone about that. The answer both stung and comforted. Understood, she murmured. We leave in 20 minutes, he said. Be in the main lobby. He paused as she turned to go. Lily? The sound of her first name in his mouth made her spine straighten. Yes, Mr. Voss? Do not tell your mother where the money came from, he said. She'll worry. And lie? She asked. Consider it omission, he said. Tell her you're being paid what you're worth. That would be the biggest lie of all, she muttered. You're improving, he said. There was a time you would have apologized for that comment. She left the study with the slip burning her fingers. In the staff room, Rosa stared when Lily said she was going to the office with him. Well, Rosa said, folding her arms, you didn't waste time. It wasn't my idea, Lily protested. Apparently I'm support staff now. He's taking you into his world, Rosa said, her tone unreadable. Huh. Is that bad? Lily asked. It's different, Rosa said. Keep your head down, your ears open, and remember that out there, the floors might be even more polished, but the people are much sharper. 20 minutes later, Lily stood in the penthouse lobby feeling like an imposter. The gray uniform that blended into the background upstairs suddenly felt glaringly plain against the marble and gold. She clutched a slim leather folder Edward had pressed into her hands. Alexander's schedule, briefing notes, and some documents that needed signatures. When the elevator opened, Alexander stepped out with the easy confidence of someone who owned everything his eyes landed on. He glanced at the folder, then at her shoes. We'll fix those, he said, heading for the private garage entrance. What? She asked, hurrying after him. The shoes, he said. They squeak. It's distracting. They're all I have, she said defensively. I know, he replied, which is why I told Rosa to arrange for proper ones. For today, try not to run. The car waiting in the garage was sleek and black, more panther than vehicle. The driver, a quiet man in his 40s named Marcus, opened the back door. Lily hesitated, then moved to sit in the front passenger seat. Alexander's voice stopped her. Back, he said. You'll need the table. The table turned out to be a fold-out surface between the two back seats, complete with a small screen and tablet dock. Lily sat opposite him, folder in her lap, feeling completely out of place. As the car slid into the city traffic, Alexander opened his laptop. Edward briefed you, he asked. He told me I'm supposed to make sure you sign things in the right order and not die, she said. A succinct summary, Alexander said. There's a meeting with the board at 3. Hale will be there, as will a few others who enjoy the sound of their own voices. You will wait outside the conference room. If I need something, I'll message you. If anyone asks who you are, you say you're assigned to the penthouse household and temporarily seconded to me. Do people ask that? She said. Who the maid is? In my world, people ask about anything that looks like information, he said. Consider yourself a data point. Guard it. I'm not sure I like being data, she said. Most people aren't, he replied. They are regardless. At the office, the Voss Holdings Tower made the residential building look almost modest. Glass and steel soared into the sky, the company logo gleaming near the top like a declaration. The lobby buzzed with controlled activity, suits, heels, the soft murmur of business and ambition. Lily followed half a step behind Alexander, feeling like a grayscale sketch in a room full of glossy magazine spreads. He moved through security without slowing. The guards nodded, scanners flashed green. At the reception desk, a young woman with perfect eyeliner straightened. "Good afternoon, Mr. Voss," she said. "Everything is set for your 3 o'clock. "Thank you," he said. "This is Miss Turner. She'll be with me for the afternoon." The receptionist's eyes flicked to Lily, taking in the uniform, then back to Alexander. There was a flicker there, curiosity, calculation, but her professional smile didn't falter. "Of course," she said. "Welcome, Miss Turner." The elevator to the top executive floor was quieter, the air cooler. When the doors opened, the hallway was lined with thick carpet and understated art. Olivia Hale waited near the glass wall, tablet in hand. "You're late," she said to Alexander without preamble. "We said 2:45. "It's 2:46, he replied. "Your sense of drama is improving." Her gaze slid to Lily. "And you brought a prop." "My maid," he said. "Temporarily repurposed. Don't break her." "No promises," Olivia murmured. As he moved toward the conference room entrance, Olivia fell in step with him, their voices dropping into business cadence. Lily stayed where she was, clutching the folder. A few other executives drifted past, giving Lily curious glances. Some looked past her as if she wasn't there. That was familiar, at least. Being invisible had its perks. She chose a discreet chair near a low planter and sat, placing the folder on her knees. Through the glass wall opposite, the city sprawled in late afternoon light. The conference room door closed on Alexander and Olivia, and a small crowd of suits. For a while, Lily just breathed. This was his world. Glass, numbers, sharp words. Somewhere behind one of those polished doors, decisions were being made that would ripple down into people's rent and hospital bills. People like her. Her comm vibrated quietly. She glanced at the screen. 0. Her pulse jumped. She thumbed it on. "Yes, Mr. Voss." The line crackled. His voice was a low murmur. "I need the Kepler file," he said. "Edward should have included it. Second section of the folder, blue tab. Bring it to the conference room. Don't knock. Just enter and hand it to me." Her stomach clenched at the idea of walking into that room full of powerful people. "Yes, sir," she said. She flipped through the folder with careful fingers, found the blue tab labeled Kepler, whatever that meant, and stood. The conference room had glass walls on 2 sides, the others wood. Through the glass, she could see Alexander at the head of the table, sleeves rolled, hands braced on the surface, as he listened to a man mid-speech. Olivia sat 2 seats down, watching. Several pairs of eyes turned as Lily opened the door quietly and stepped inside. The man speaking faltered for half a second, looking irritated. Alexander didn't glance at her. His attention remained on the speaker. Lily walked around the edge of the room, keeping close to the glass wall, and stopped beside his chair. She placed the Kepler file on the table, where his hand could easily reach it, then stepped back. Only then did he look at her, a brief flicker of acknowledgement in his gaze. "Thank you," he said, as if she had merely handed him a pen. "Continue, Mr. Shah." The man launched back into his presentation, some rapid-fire report about projections and risk profiles. Lily slipped out as quietly as she had come in, heat prickling under her skin from all the eyes she'd felt on her. In the hallway, she exhaled. "Nicely done," a voice drawled. Olivia leaned against the wall a few feet away, one hand in her pocket, the other cradling her tablet. Lily hadn't heard her step out. "I was just delivering a file," Lily said. Hardly a heroic act. "You'd be surprised," Olivia said. "Some people can't manage it without tripping over their own importance." She tilted her head, studying Lily. "How are you finding the view from the inside?" "Shiny," Lily said. "Loud. Intimidating. I liked the plants in the lobby." "Yes, the plants are very soothing," Olivia said dryly. "They don't talk back or leak to the press." She pushed off the wall and stepped closer. "You know that pendant you wear?" she said, almost casually. Lily's fingers moved instinctively to her collarbone before she caught them. She forced her hand back down. "What about it?" "Don't bother hiding it," Olivia said. "I saw it when you adjusted your collar downstairs. It's very distinctive." "It's just a necklace," Lily said. "From my father." Olivia's gaze sharpened. "Is that what he told you?" The simple sentence made the air feel thinner. "What do you mean?" Lily asked. "I mean," Olivia said, "that 18 years ago, there was a woman who wore a necklace exactly like that. And she died in an accident that was anything but. The man next to her in every photograph? His name was Turner." Lily's heart slammed against her ribs. "You're lying," she whispered. "Why would I?" Olivia said. "I'm the one who helped Alexander pull up the old files when your name hit the system. I am the one who recognized the pattern he was trying very hard not to see." "You're saying my father knew her?" Lily's voice shook. "His mother?" "I'm saying your father was in business with Alexander's father," Olivia said, "and that business ended badly, for everyone." Her eyes narrowed. "You really didn't know?" "No," Lily said. Her pulse roared in her ears. He left when I was a kid. I don't know anything about his life before." Olivia watched her for a moment, then sighed, some of the sharpness easing. "Then you're more of a victim in this than I thought." "Victim of what?" Lily demanded. "Of whatever game he's playing," Olivia said, nodding toward the conference room where Alexander stood now, gesturing at a chart, a room full of suits hanging on his words. "He should have sent you home the second he saw that necklace. He didn't. That means he's either making a mistake or setting up a move I can't see yet." "He's trying to protect his company," Lily said, repeating his earlier words. "And me. Maybe. A little." "You think that," Olivia said quietly, "because you want to. I'm not saying you're wrong. I am saying you should be careful. Men like him don't let the past into their house by accident." "If you're so worried, why keep me there?" Lily asked. "Why not push for him to fire me?" "Because sometimes the best way to control a variable is to keep it where you can see it," Olivia said. "And because—" She hesitated, a rare crack in her certainty. "Because part of me wants to see how this plays out. That's my flaw. Curiosity." There it was again, that word everyone kept warning her about. Lily crossed her arms, partly to stop herself from shaking. "Thank you for the partial honesty," she said, "I guess." "He will be furious if he finds out we had this conversation," Olivia said. "You will not mention it." "I'm getting very good at not mentioning things," Lily said. Olivia gave a humorless smile. "Welcome to the inner circle, Ms. Turner." She slipped back into the conference room, leaving Lily alone with too many shards of information. Her father, Alexander's mother, a business gone bad, a necklace that was never just anything. By the time the meeting ended and Alexander emerged, face set in that impassive mask he wore for the world, Lily had shoved the details into a box in her mind, labelled, "Think about later or die." She rose as he approached. "Car," he said. "Now." In the elevator down, he was silent, scrolling through his phone. In the car, the city lights smeared across the windows as the sun dropped. Finally, he closed the laptop and looked at her. "How was your first trip to the Shark Tank?" he asked. "Educational," she said. "I learned that conference rooms have too much glass, and board members like to hear themselves talk." He made a small sound that might have been agreement. "They do," he said. "And you handled the interruption well." "I handed you a folder," she said. "Let's not exaggerate my contribution." "You did it without tripping, spilling, or fainting," he said. "That puts you ahead of several people with higher salaries." "You need to hire better people," she muttered. He studied her face. "You're pale," he said. "Did someone say something to you?" Her pulse stuttered. She thought of Olivia's words. His mother. Your father. Victim. Game. "Just office air," she said. "I'm not used to recycled ambition." His eyes narrowed. Lily. Her name, quiet and edged with warning. She swallowed. "People stare," she said, opting for a half-truth. "I'm not used to that either. The uniform makes me feel like I'm in someone else's movie." He held her gaze a moment longer, then let it go. "You'll get used to it," he said. "Or you won't. Either way, trips to the office will be rare." "Good," she said. "Your office feels like a different planet." "It is," he said. "I bring very few people from one planet to the other. Don't mistake today for a habit." "Wouldn't dream of it," she said. She hesitated, then added, "Thank you for the advance, for letting me see the other side." "You're thanking me for exploiting your labor in a new environment," he said. "Your standards for gratitude are too low." "Maybe," she said, "but I meant it." He turned his head to the window, the lights of the city flickering over his profile. "Don't," he said quietly. "Don't thank me yet." The words settled in her chest like a stone. When they reached the penthouse lobby again, he stepped out first, the familiar silence of the residents wrapping around them. "Rosa will need you in the kitchen," he said. "We have a late dinner delivery. One of the board members insisted on a follow-up. We're hosting him here." "You have guests now?" she asked, startled. "Occasionally," he said. "When there's something they want badly enough to come into my territory." His gaze flicked to her, something sharp in it. "Stay out of the study tonight, no matter what you hear." A chill ran down her spine. "Is something going to happen?" "Only business," he said. "The kind that doesn't involve maids." He walked away, leaving her with more questions than answers, her pendant a weight of metal and memory against her skin. That night, as she helped Rosa set out elegant finger food she wouldn't be allowed to touch, voices drifted through the penthouse like storm fronts. Low, controlled, occasionally spiking with steel. The guest, Mr. Shaw, she recognized the name from the meeting, arrived just after 9, all smiles and charm. Lily kept to the edges, invisible and useful. At some point, the study door closed, and the building seemed to hold its breath. Her calm stayed dark, her mind did not. When she finally lay in bed hours later, her body aching with the day's weight, sleep hovered but wouldn't land. She turned on her side, fingers finding the pendant. Somewhere in the penthouse, in a safe behind a wall of glass, A file with Turner on the tab lay open, its contents now no longer just paper, but a living problem pacing Alexander Voss's immaculate floors. And for the first time since she'd arrived, Lily understood something she hadn't wanted to face. She wasn't just a maid who had stumbled into the wrong house at the wrong time. She was leverage, a piece on a board that had been set long before she was born. The only question now was whose game she was actually in.